if you're already into entrepreneurship or you've started your side hustle, don't walk away before the magic happens. Believe in yourself, believe in your business, and stay the course because you certainly deserve what entrepreneurship has in store for you. I'm Amy Porterfield, ex-corporate girl turned CEO of a multi-seven-figure business. But it wasn't all that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the budget, and the time to focus on growing my small but mighty business. Fast forward past many failed attempts and lessons learned, and you'll see the business I have today, one that changes lives and gives me more freedom than I ever thought possible, one that used to only exist as a daydream. I created the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast to give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're an ambitious entrepreneur or one in the making who's looking to create a business that makes an impact and a life you love, you're in the right place, friend. Let's get started. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Online Marketing Made Easy. I'm excited to jump into today's episode because if you're feeling a little bit discouraged about your business, maybe you're even wondering if entrepreneurship is the right path for you, I'm going to give you a little boost of encouragement to hang in there because sometimes that's exactly what we need, right? And here's the icing on the cake. You might even get a little laugh from this episode because I'm also going to share some funny stories from my team members of the quote unquote perks at previous full-time jobs that will 100% make you appreciate being an entrepreneur, no matter how much you want to call it quits on some days, which I get. We're going to talk about that. But before we go there, have you ever shared this episode with another entrepreneurial friend? Like, would you mind grabbing the link to this episode or to this podcast as a whole and just sending the link over to a friend and saying, hey, I thought you might find value in this on your entrepreneurial journey, or however you want to word it. But I would greatly appreciate if you would share this podcast because my goal is to get it in front of as many entrepreneurs as possible to help them build businesses of their dreams. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd love it if you would share it. All right. So I don't know if you can relate to this, but there have been several times in my business where I felt like I was done, like I am ready to throw in the towel because things just weren't going as planned, especially early on in my journey. But I could even think like more recent where I'm like, what? This is hard. Like when the money isn't quite hitting like you think it should, like you're not hitting your revenue goals, when your email list feels stagnant, like nothing seems to just be like clicking into place. And it feels like everyone and their brother is super successful in their business except you. Like, have you ever felt that way? I have absolutely. And there's just moments that I'm like, this isn't working. And the truth is, I set way too high expectations sometimes for myself. I'm really hard on myself. Like, no one can be as hard on me as I am on myself. So sometimes I just get down. If you've ever felt like this, or maybe you're feeling like this right now, then let me assure you that these are all normal feelings. They're normal when you're trying to grow a business. Just like life, there's ebbs and flows in business. There's good days and there's bad days, good years and bad years. There will be times that you question yourself and everything in the world around your business. There will be days where you cry, or at least want to. I just end up crying. There's too many of those. And then I'm sitting here telling you all of this, and you're thinking, okay, Amy, you're painting a very dark picture of entrepreneurship. Like on the flip side, I want to tell you, you eventually find your flow. Things eventually fall into place. You eventually hit your stride. So even if you go back to some hard days, you remember that you have figured this out. Now it's just a hard day or a hard week or a hard month, but you've been through it. So you know this is just a season. In the beginning, it feels like it's forever. Now, when I have something hard that comes into the business, I know this is just one incident or it's a season and I will move past it. So I have proof that there are ebbs and flows. But if you don't know that yet, just take my word for it. And when you experience it, you'll be like, oh, that's what she was talking about. The flow that I'm talking about, it may not happen overnight, but as long as you keep pushing forward and stay laser focused on your path, It will happen for you. And no matter how frustrating things might seem to you right now, I also want you to think about what could be your reality if you stay in your 9 to 5 job or you never left your 9 to 5 job. So, those of you listening, some have already left and some of you really want to leave. So, I want you to think about what your future would look like if you stayed or if you do stay. So, close your eyes and think back to when you were employed, or think back to today if you're still employed. Living for the weekends instead of embracing every day is your reality. I can't wait till it's Saturday. I don't feel that way as an entrepreneur, but I absolutely felt that way every single week in my 9 to 5 job. Being tied to someone else's clock and their timeline and their own deadlines, having your creativity be absolutely crushed. I know for certain there were things in my corporate job that I worked on for months that literally got canceled. Now, sure, that can happen in entrepreneurship, but I promise you it hits different and it's a lot more rare in entrepreneurship than it is in corporate. Or working a ton of hours without any reward. I really remember those times. When I was in corporate, there were a few times I pulled all-nighters. Something happened in the business. I couldn't leave. And literally, people would be coming in the next day at 9 a.m., and I was still at work in the same clothes. That wasn't my everyday, but it absolutely happened. I remember those days, and there was no reward for doing it. No one said anything. It felt horrible, to be quite honest. And here's the thing. So many of my students have said that they're afraid to leap into entrepreneurship because they're addicted. They don't use this word, but I think they are, and I've been there, addicted to the steady paycheck illusion of security. I think it's an illusion, but that steady paycheck. And also, here's the thing. A lot of people won't quit their 9 to 5 job because of insurance. But Amy, I have insurance. So do I. And I had insurance the first day as an entrepreneur when I was hardly making any money. You can figure out the insurance thing. Now it's way easier than even 15 years ago, but you can still get insurance and still make the payments for your insurance. And that should never be a reason why you're staying in your 9 to 5 job. Now, there's a caveat. Let's say you have an illness. Let's say you're dealing with cancer and you have a 9 to 5 job and you're getting treatment. Okay, that's a whole different ballgame and you're probably going to take a pause. But I'm just talking about you're healthy, you can manage your insurance on your own, and in your head, you keep thinking, but my insurance. No, as an entrepreneur, you can figure it out. So I just want to put that out there. All right. So a lot of people will stay with this because of the illusion of the steady paycheck. And also, a lot of people stay in a 9 to 5 because of the perks that they're getting that they think they won't be able to get if they go out on their own. Let me tell you, with your own business, you're the one pulling the lever of how much money you can make. I think that's the biggest thing I want you to hear. Sure, in the first few years, it might be difficult. You might not make as much money as you want. But if you stick with entrepreneurship and building your business, you will get to a point that you realize, oh, I am absolutely in charge of making my own money. I am absolutely in charge of figuring out if I want to make more. I just was on a coaching call with a woman today, and I don't typically do coaching calls, but I did some for charity. And so I got on the phone with this really great woman, and she made, I think, like $450,000 last year in her business. And she said, okay, Amy, so I want to figure out how to make $500,000 more this year. And we have 6 months to go. And I looked at this woman and I thought, yes, like that's a lot of money. And there's probably a good chance that maybe 6 months is a little too short, but I'm not going to say that. I don't know what she's capable of. I think she's a baller. I think she could do it. But even if she doesn't do it, imagine a goal of in the next 6 months, I want to make $500,000 more than I made last year. In addition to hitting the goal she already set, she wants to add a $500,000 goal to that. Imagine how she's going to show up. Imagine what she's going to do. Imagine how she needs to get creative and strategic and think differently. Even if she doesn't hit the goal, she will be a different person at the end of the year for being courageous enough to say, I want to make more money. My point being is that in a 9 to 5 job, you're not sitting around saying, I wonder how to make an extra $200,000 more with my salary this year. That's likely not going to happen. In entrepreneurship, absolutely you can figure it out. So that's what I love about this. But I want to kind of take a little turn here. And some people are staying for the perks. The 9 to 5 job, you're staying for the perks. You don't know you are, but like you like some perks that come along with working for someone else. Because also, let's be honest, when you work for someone else, there are pros to it. There's not all cons, meaning I kind of like the fact that everything wasn't on my shoulders. I like the fact that I could take a vacation and not worry about the business. I think about the business even when I'm on vacation now. So I get that. Like there are some perks, but they're not worth staying in your 9 to 5 job if you don't love what you're doing. So I just want to make that really clear. So I want to leave you with a smile on your face today after this little pep talk. So I'm going to share a few of the quote unquote perks my team members have had the pleasure of experiencing at some of their previous companies. So this is all before they came to work with me, for the record. I just want to be clear. You might not believe these, but they are true stories. Okay, are you ready? So just kind of enjoy this next final segment. So Sylvia is my VP of product development. And this is what she said. I have stories for days, but I think an obvious one that most can relate to is Flex Fridays, which is when companies offer, she has this in quotes, you every other Friday off, but only if you work 10 plus hours Monday through Thursday. So those were her Flex Fridays. As long as you work 10 plus hours Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then every other Friday you can take off like you earned it. She says, for many at my previous job, they would still be contacted on their Friday off. She added, heavy sigh. Not good. Jess is my director of operations. And this is what she said. My favorite was my first job in management when I was given a whopping $20 per month budget to reward my team of 10. I just hoped everyone liked bagels and I had them buy their own schmear. At that same company, the owner would buy a Costco-sized tub of red vines to get us through our busiest season, which was tax season. So she worked at a company where it was all about taxes. So during tax season, you got red vines. She says, red vines? Really? And my all-time favorite, Jess says, was Beer Fridays, when you were allowed to drink a beer and work at your desk, but only within the hour before you left work, which was super safe. Okay, when I read these first, I was like, what? Yeah, these were the corporate perks that my team had before they came to work with me. So Jessica from my customer experience team said, instead of them giving us bonuses or actual incentives when we hit a certain sales goal, we would get the almighty Top Banana Award. So they just got an award that says, you're the top banana. She's like, that one was really special. And then Ava from my content team says, when I was working in the classroom, so she was a teacher, when I was working in the classroom, they had a teacher appreciation lunch, but it was just a tray of picked over deli sandwiches, a bagged salad, and a bowl of mints. And then the line was so long to even get your food that we would get back to our classroom late. And then all of our students would be staring at us and they'd ask if they could eat our food. I don't even know why they would want to, Ava, but yeah, not cool. Christine from my customer experience team says, I work for a large gym corporation and we were grand opening a new location. Little did we know, managers and team members were required to quote unquote volunteer their time to move all the equipment into the facility 2 days before opening. Each department moved their own items, like think yoga mats, blocks, blankets, dumbbells, steps, kettlebells, etc. We also had to break all the boxes and recycle them. So break down all the boxes, recycle them. She said, my department was on the second floor and we had one elevator. Our reward for all this work, team camaraderie and pizza, which they didn't order enough of. So everyone got one slice. That same company also had the coveted Grit Award. Essentially, one person was awarded each quarter for working 60 plus hours a week and gifted with a trophy from the dollar store. So, listen, I know that some 9 to 5s have amazing perks. Not all jobs outside of entrepreneurship are bad. I would never be that girl to say that. But let's be honest, many of us have had pretty crappy jobs before. And these stories kind of prove it. They're funny for sure. I love the Top Banana Award. They're funny, but also we've got to just be really careful that we're not buying into the safety and the perks and what you get from your 9 to 5 job, because it is not all it's cracked up to be. And if we're really honest and we let the fear go, many of us realize that the 9 to 5 is not what we want. And we don't want to work our tail off for a Top Banana Award. So, with that, my sweet friend, my advice to you is this: don't walk away or change lanes before the magic happens. Meaning, if you're already into entrepreneurship or you've started your side hustle, don't walk away before the magic happens. Believe in yourself, believe in your business, and stay the course, because you certainly deserve what entrepreneurship has in store for you. It's closer than you think. All right. I hope you loved this shorty episode and found it valuable. Thank you for hanging out with me. And if you've never reviewed the podcast, would you be so kind to just jump on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and give me a review? I love reading all of them and I appreciate them more than you know. All right, my sweet friends, I'll see you on Thursday for more entrepreneurial goodness. Same time, same place. Can't wait.